The ultimate crypto trap scenario is right now. Overwhelming bullishness for Bitcoin and the altcoins in the coming days, weeks, months, and years ahead. But in the near term, we have some very critical signals that we need to be watching because so many people are basically just giving their bags away, getting caught in the traps of this market, which we're going to be talking about right now. There are some key altcoins that are setting up for some major runs. What are they? We're going to be diving into that technical analysis, crypto signals, strategies, and what the heck is going on. So everybody stay tuned. Everybody get involved in the live chat. I want to see each and every one of you say good morning, GM, and what city you are tuned in from. Let's see how many people we can get active to see where you're at around the world. Big love to every single one of you. I hope you're all doing well. We got some major things that we've got to take into consideration today. So let's get into it. Let's talk about these markets. Let's do this together. Let's be positive. We are growing together as people and within our portfolios. Let's make sure we do it. Shout out Sack Nasty. I see a DeFi crypto airdrops. Rob got it. Nasty's stepmom, Granny's Garden, One House Productions, the whole family here. Alexandra G, what's up? Curly loves crypto. We got the fam here. I want to see everybody get active. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Objectively real, reality objectively. Shout out to you. Let's get into it. Let's go. The time might be frustrating right now with the Bitcoin price doing that, where it is pulling back on the near term. But when you zoom out on Bitcoin, you realize it has been such an overwhelmingly incredible bull run. But we are having some times and periods of patience being needed. The hardest thing for humans is patience for some reason. The best thing you can do if you're feeling impatient or if you're feeling uncertain is to look into the data. Look into the data rather than being enamored by the price. When you're just looking at price go up, price go down, you are either in a fear or hope mechanism, of fear or hope emotion, which is going to drive your strategy and drive your actions, which is not what you want, because those actions more often than not will lead to you handing over your crypto to somebody that's much better off than you are because they have more patience. So when we're diving into this market and we see what's going on with the price action, with it just being sideways now for over a month, and people say, why is it crashing? Is it crashing? This is not a crash to me. When we zoom out on this on the weekly chart and we realize, oh, that looks like a giant bull flag or, basically a bullish accumulation setup for the next major move. And within that feeling, within this chart pattern that we're seeing right now, even zoomed out right now on the weekly chart, we realize that because this does have a stronger possibility of moving to the upside, it does not mean that we do not have very real possibilities of this still making another swing to the downside before it makes that move to the upside. So we're going to clue you in on this. We're going to be looking at a couple of different altcoins, including, of course, Ethereum. What's going on here? Ondo. I got some major news on Ondo. Chainlink, Aerodrome, BitTensor Tau. What's going on with DAG? Dog, yeah, we got some news on Dog, of course, as well. Chainlink, it's not Chainlink, sorry, Chintai, which is Checks, doing some major moves with their listing on Kraken, and some other things that we're going to be diving into today. So welcome to the show, everybody. If this is your first time here, it's not going to be your last time. Welcome. My name's Kellam. Shout out to our channel partners, BitcoinIRA.com. Of course, Arculus, getarculus.com for the best crypto cold storage solution. And most importantly, all of you, you all are the real partners of this channel. I do this every day, breaking down the charts, breaking down the signals, breaking down the data to help make sure that you don't step into the same pitfalls, the same potholes and bad decision-making that so many people do in this market because they're acting emotionally and not taking the concert of data to help inform smart positions and smart strategies so that you can also have more strength within your ability to be patient in this market. Because is it frustrating in this market right now? It sure as hell is. It's very frustrating. Chainlink, the best crypto asset in the crypto ecosystem outside of Bitcoin, and it's under $13. Now that can make you mad, but it also can identify maybe there's great possibility, great opportunity there. Ondo, great asset. Tokenizing the stock market. Incredible partnerships, down to 76 cents. It's just not moving. but is that opportunity? It's all going to be dependent on what your strategy is and where you think, not based on what I say, but what I say in addition to what other people that you follow say, in addition to your own data, due diligence strategy. What does that also inform you? Some of that might not agree with what I'm saying. We have to put together the ingredients, each one of us by ourselves, from different talking heads, from different influencers, from different data points that you're collecting that get brought to your attention, so that you can have an informed decision-making strategy that works for your portfolio. What I do, the moves that I make, even if I share them, and I share them in Discord regularly, and I talk about them here on the BitLab live stream almost daily, you are already behind my actions. You've got to take heed of what you're learning, what you're gathering from different players, and figure out how that's going to align and set up with what your strategy is in this market. Because we have some major things going on in this market, and it feels like the market's just not moving. In fact, if we actually come over here to the daily chart, or the daily crypto bubbles, we're seeing that things are moving, but we have on the monthly a lot of red. Remember, only a few days ago it was almost all green. And then we got on the weekly almost all red again, but Arrow making some freaking moves, which we've had Arrow on all of your radar. Those of you that have been watching me, watching BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, we got heavy in on Aerodrome back when it was sub 30 cents. And it made that massive run. Had the sell off. I've been stacking into this along the way, but we also see most of the things are red right now. If we're so bullish on where this market's going and we're seeing red on this weekly chart, does that mean we give up our strategy? Does it mean we just adjust our patience? Does it mean we find some buying opportunities? I'm of those last two. Adjust our patience, do a little deeper due diligence to ensure that we're not wrong on our bias here. Maybe it's data informed over bias, and then also identify which one of these fits into the different narrative plays in the altcoin portion of our portfolio to add to our positions. That's what I'm talking about right now. Jonathan Maldonado says Aerodrome blowing up, and I think it's going to continue to do so. I think it's going to be into the decabillion market cap here in probably this cycle. We have some data that supports that as well. I also say I heard about the Arrow Network on Hit Network. Shout out DeFi crypto airdrops. That's veteran crypto right there. Then he learned to use it in DeFi. He's making money on his Aerodrome using DeFi. Make sure you can click on his profile there on his comment. You can go, and they do live streams throughout the week talking exactly how you can employ and deploy DeFi strategies to make money on yield on the coins that you're holding in the DeFi ecosystem, in the crypto ecosystem. I also see you, Granny's Garden. Shout out to you. Shout out to Crypto Stevo. How you doing? We got a lot to talk about today, so let's get into it. I just want to highlight something. I noticed there's so much I want to talk about on a daily basis that I sometimes go back and just kind of peek into some of my streams, see how I am conveying information. And I realize that because I want to share so much, that I get on here and I sound like a darn auctioneer because I'm going through information so quickly. This is called the damn BitLab Academy. I need to be breaking things down for you. I need to be making sure we throw the rope back to some of the newcomers out there and breaking topics down while also delivering very high quality alpha to the mid-level experts and the experts in this market, because I want you all informed and re-informed in the right way on many of the things that are in this space. So I'm going to be talking a little bit slower. I'm going to be a little bit more personal with you all, because for those of you all that have met me in person, one of the things that I've heard before is the way I'm almost too professional on these streams, where I'm just like, oh, all this data. I am such an overwhelming silly goose. It's like people are surprised when they meet me, because it's not like all this information. It's like, hey, let's be some silly bitches together. So let's get into it. We got some stuff to talk about. We got some charts to break down. We have some signals to watch, and I'm going to keep you guys on the right side of this trend, because when we come over here and we look at what's going on in the crypto market, it's like absolutely everything is breaking, except at the same time, we look at the data and we're still sitting here at $3.23 trillion market cap. This is massive. If we actually zoom in on this and come over here to all, you can see this is still in a bullish trend. It's a little precarious right now because we do have a lower high at this moment, but at the current trend, we're still in a very bullish trend on market cap. Not so long ago, in fact, right about the bottom of this recent pullback with when all the tariffs and everything came in on April 6th and 7th, we were at $2.5 trillion. So we're up significantly from that low. I still think there's a little bit of work to be done, but I do expect this to be breaking to new all-time highs in the very near future. And that's partly because some of the news that's come out in the last few days. The Genius Act changes the nature in which the world, the global financial sector, can get involved, integrated, and deploying strategies to develop businesses and services within the blockchain ecosystem. This means we have the global financial sector with billions of people involved are now going to be deploying products and services and access points to the 8 billion people on the planet. This is happening in record speed. And as this is happening, we look at the chart and we say, why is Bitcoin not going up? We look at the chart and we say, how come Bitcoin is crashing? We look at the chart and say, why is it doing this? Why is this? But then we forget when we actually zoom back out on a lot of this stuff that there's a couple key things at play. First off, before we dive into those things, I do want to just highlight this public service announcement. A record 16... Everybody needs to pay attention to this right now. If you're watching the stream, it means you're on digital services. You're using social media. You're watching YouTube. You're watching Twitter. You're on Rumble. You're on all these different things. And you're also, in some ways, at least interested in, or if not already invested in the crypto ecosystem. But you all have bank accounts as well. A record 16 billion passwords, including for Apple, Facebook, and Google, have been leaked in the largest data breach ever confirmed. If you have not changed your passwords recently, or if you do not have two-factor authentication, I don't mean text my phone to confirm. That does not work, because if you have your phone can be hacked as well, especially through many of these mechanisms. So make sure you're using an authenticator app or a YubiKey or something that is separate from text phone for access. Go and make sure you update all your passwords on your bank accounts, on your Apple devices, on Google, on Facebook, all these different accounts that you're utilizing. Make sure you're practicing operational security, because this is going to start seeing some massive follow-on effects and huge amounts of frauds and scams coming in the coming weeks and months. So just make sure you protect yourself, because this is very important. Why spend all this time educating yourself, investing in, learning to trade, learning to navigate this market, only to click on the wrong link or have somebody gain access to your account and drain your wallets? Make sure you're protecting yourself. Make sure you are protecting yourself. 16 billion passwords. This means the majority of everybody in the US, I would say, are at high risk for being included in at least one of these breaches or access points. So make sure you are protecting yourself. Now, with that being said, Trump has doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on crypto. We had the Genius Act just passed, and he just said the Senate just passed this incredible bill that is going to make America the undisputed leader in digital assets. Nobody will do it better. It is pure genius. Play on that word, Genius Act, right? Digital assets are the future, says Donald Trump, and our nation is going to own it. Not own digital assets, but own basically the top spot of being the digital asset leader of the world in deployment, development, empowerment, and innovation and investment as a country as well. We're talking about massive investment and big innovation. The House will hopefully move at lightning fast and pass a clean Genius Act. Get it to my desk ASAP. No delays, no add-ons. This is American brilliance at its best, and we're going to show the world how to win with digital assets like never before. So we have the presidential administration supporting these efforts around the Genius Act and stablecoins. Stablecoins, that's not going to make me rich. I need a meme coin. I need something that's going to pump. This means access to banks. This means access to, if banks have access, to deploy access points to their hundreds of millions into the billions of users. Okay, this changes the game for how crypto is going to be integrated into the global financial sector. And we have the President of the United States and the backing of the full federal government supporting this path forward. This is incredible. And at the same time, we're looking at Bitcoin going, why is this not pumping right now? This is my favorite setup of any asset I've ever seen in the history of the world. Why is that? Because so many people are enamored on this price right here. If we go, let's go to the 1 minute chart, like a lot of you degens are on far too regularly. You're looking at this and you're seeing, got it, who cares about that? You're looking at this going, oh, price is pumping. Kelly, price is dumping. Zoom the F out and realize this is a macro bullish trend on the also heels of a new crypto-focused administration coming in. We can see this right here. This crypto-focused administration coming in a way, this has started an entirely new market cycle where the world is now becoming open for business in support of and pushing crypto access and services and just positive narrative around this. So if the price were to come back to here, rather than saying, why is this price crashing? Look at this, realize this gift from God buy zone. And price actually gives us an opportunity here on the same time we're having the strongest fundamental case for crypto and digital assets than we've ever had. That is my favorite signal I've ever seen in any asset ever. When you have price not yet reflecting massive fundamental supportive developments that is not reflected in price go up yet. In fact, you're seeing the collision of smart money right now on chain. Smart money buying into the weakness of retail or misaligned minds, but for not realizing this bullish setup that we're seeing right now. The world is open for business for crypto, starting January 20th and only getting positively reinforced every week, almost every day, with new regulation, positive regulation, and new capital access points, and the championing of what this space is by the biggest financial players in the world. And you're worried that price is getting a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, even a 20% pullback. That is an absolute gift of an opportunity for those that recognize this. Do not cap your future by being closed-minded here. Expand your future by seeing the opportunity and taking advantage of the market here while the rest of the world is sleeping. Hit the like button. Make sure you're following us for more so we can keep you on the right side of the trend. I want to make sure that you guys change your lives with this asset class because we're in the middle of a revolution, a new evolution, completely changing the entire nature of the global financial network from investing to finance and decentralized finance, being able to be your own bank. The billions of people, there are billions of people that are unable to even be banked. So creating democratized access to, markets. We're going to start seeing financial markets like the stock markets going on global platforms. We're seeing the tokenization of assets, which is making that possible. Those rails also going to be major speculative boons and positive profit centers for those that catch that. We're seeing the need for transparency in things like Chainlink, proof of reserves, things like Constellation DAG, which we've talked about a lot on this channel, also probably being very heavily tied in that narrative. We're seeing, gosh, the world is changing before our eyes, and we're seeing some risk-off mentality because I don't have the boots to do it. We're not going to do that here on BitLab. We're going to ride this wave, and there's going to be some hard times. There's going to be some frustrating times, and we're going to look at the data and make sure that we get it. So thanks for the password change advice, says the Lizzie. Shout out to you, or the Izzy. Yeah. Now we got some stuff to look at. We got so much stuff to look at, guys. Where is it at? Okay. Right now, when we have all of this incredibly positive fundamental news, the best signal I've ever seen has happened in this market, and that is this. One, setting this up, Bitcoin has now basically held and consolidated, really sideways ranged above $100,000. This level has been defended not only at the $100,000 mark, but up in the 102s, the 104s, the 101s, now back up here in the 104s. The price is ranging sideways for the last month, over a month, at $100,000, and people are bearish. At the same time, how can you be bearish when you see this development, an American Bitcoin business booming? Check this out from 2012 all the way into 2013, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. Look at the exponential growth of American Bitcoin businesses. This is also at the same time we're seeing this positive development with the crypto supportive administration here in the US passing new regulation, clearing out stupid regulation, clearing the way forward. All the while price action is boring to people and it's not moving. Great. Take advantage of this time because you are patient. Take advantage of this time because you're seeing the data, the positive foundation getting stronger every day, and the retail and the broader market, the world is asleep on this opportunity. And we see this in this price action, as I highlighted before. The crypto administration, this I think is an entirely new paradigm that we've entered. We're still looking at targets up here while still being aware that there's going to be times where we get some washout moves to the downside. And in fact, at the same time, this is what it looks like to zoom out on Bitcoin. This is up and to the right. This is maxed out on very large time frame candles from, I mean, what we're seeing all the way at the, look at this trend. It is up and to the right. And yet when we look at the smaller time frames, this is where it gets a struggle bus. This is where people are getting wrecked. I call this Trap City. This is a Trap City pattern. What do I mean? We've talked about this before. All the liquidity up here from people shorting, all the liquidity down here from people longing. There is a sort of equal narrative of both very much bullishness and very hyper bearishness in this market. And the price is just trapping people in both directions, capturing those strong biases on players on both sides of the market. Now, we saw earlier, this is what it looks like. But however, you can already see that this has changed since we recorded that. If we refresh this, see all of this right here? Let's go ahead and refresh this a bit. And I just want you to notice this is tapping into those zones. It's tapping into those zones. It was yellow all the way up into here. It's trying to capture this liquidity. So the question is going to be, as this clears out, how deep does this go into the 103s, into the 102s, or does it just tap this, trap those bears, and then have a bear trap that then sends us back up and then tap the liquidity above us? We have overwhelming fundamental bullishness that is giving major players, institutions, governments, corporations, big money players, the confidence to be buying and defending these areas. And also, even if people aren't buying, we're seeing in the on-chain data that there's less willingness to sell. There's more of a persistence of hope and projection about where this market's going, which is giving us strength that has been holding the price action on Bitcoin up above this $100,000. Now, this is not to say that Bitcoin is going to only remain above $100,000. This also in itself is going to be a trap because there's going to be some people out there, and that if the price action on Bitcoin happens to take that swing to the downside, which I still think is very likely, then, as it loses that, you're going to see probably a pretty aggressive sell-off. If it loses the $100,000 mark here, it bounces and then boom, I think we're going to see a pretty quick move to the downside, and we'll be somewhere in this $95,000 to $98,000 region. That's not just my bias. Those are the levels that we've been talking about here when we look at this. If we zoom in on this chart a little bit, let me go ahead and go like this and drag this in over here. Just notice the short-term holder cost basis, the 200-day moving average, and the 21-week moving average basically show a lot of support in this region from basically 95,000 up to about $98,500, $99,000. So there's key support down here as well as the previous range highs over here in addition to that. Beyond that, then we also have this chart right here showing the $100,000 level. And then, of course, where is it at? I have another chart here. Right in this zone where all of this price action also chopped before as well. So we've got a number of positive areas to look for that if we are really tuned into these charts here, we're really tuned into the levels, then we can be overwhelmingly macro bullish and welcome if the price moves down. That way, everybody else is panicking and you're walking like a ninja through the night with your basically levels set that you're going to take advantage of if they come. And even if you're not going to buy a dip, it's still worth noting these areas, because then as it happens, you're not flabbergasted by, oh my God, it's crashing. You okay, we don't get worried, and it's still not even a worry. You don't start to get worried until this bounces here at 95, 96, and then comes down and starts losing into basically this region down here in the mid to upper 80s. Now, again, I'm not saying price is going to those levels. I'm saying I'm prepared for the scenarios. If this comes down and loses this, then what is the next level? Therefore, if it happens, because we're seeing geopolitical tensions just feel like they're never going to end, and if the bulls give up or kind of some big market players do send the price, sailing to the downside, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity by either buying some great, because if Bitcoin drops to 85, 88, somewhere in this region, altcoins are going to be absolutely decimated. So do note that. But we got some other things to look at as well. We talked about that. What is the next one? The dollar, the strength of the dollar is case in point right now. Strength of the dollar has been breaking down, and we have been seeing some positive movement, some support at minimum of the bears not taking control, the Bitcoin holding above $100,000, and the dollar has been dropping. Well, look at this risk assets pump setup when the dollar is dropping. We do have some concern, I will say, on if the dollar does push to the upside. If you get on smaller time frame, notice that we have got a bit of a bounce here on the dollar. The DXY is how you find it here on TradingView. All you have to do to find it, click on your chart and just start typing DXY. Quick little tip for all of you. If you want to pull up any asset, you don't have to come up here and click this. Just click on your chart, nothing happens, and then type ADA for Cardano. If you want to, same thing. If you want to change the time frame, you don't need to bookmark all these by putting stars, by the way, which is how you get these, on here. Like you see 30 second, I can turn it off, turn it back on, boom. That way you can have as many as you want, but you can also just click on the chart and type 4, that's 4 minutes, or 4D, that's 4 days, 4M, that's 4 months. And you go immediately to it. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, 4H, 4 hour, boom. Just some quick tips for you guys. I forget to give you guys some quick tips sometimes, but this is still looking macro bullish for risk markets as the dollar has dropped. But we do have a bit of a bounce happening right now, and I would just keep our eyes on this. It would start to get really worrisome if this pushed up and broke past this 100.3, but really if it broke back above this trend line that we have here. We're still in very positive setup for risk assets with the dollar doing what it's doing. The S&P 500, it's looking a little precarious right now. Incredible V-shaped recovery for the S&P 500, the SPX. But does this mean it's only bullish from here? I am on the side of thinking we might get a dip and a continuation here, but we need to see how this plays out, because the geopolitical, shenanigans going on right now does create a bit of a risk-off scenario potentially. It is incredible that the S&P 500 has held up as it has, like Bitcoin, at the levels of pushing back up into the zone. But this is looking a little bit like a head and shoulders in this zone. This is also rounding top. This is also signaling sort of lack of bullishness in here. We see this high to this high in the same two positions when we're looking on the RSI, Relative Strength Index. Lower highs here with higher highs here, telegraphing before this weakness that we are likely going to see some weakness come in, because the strength is lower here while the price is higher. And what are we seeing? Some weakness. If this does roll over, currently we're sitting right, look at this. We're sitting right on this previous range high. If this is lost, I'm expecting this to likely come down and flush out this gap that we have in price action, potentially even coming down into the zone. The reason I bring this up for all of you crypto holders who don't care about the S&P 500, these global markets, the financial sector has major impacts on people's assessment of risk and how they're navigating markets. If the S&P 500 starts to break down like this, I expect that there's a high probability that we will see downward price action on Bitcoin as well, and therefore also the altcoins. What would be amazing to see is if this does have and this is all on the contention that if this breaks these levels, what would be great to see is if this does break down and Bitcoin still holds, because we could be in the middle of Bitcoin breaking away from this tech stock correlation narrative. We have to see how it plays out, but let's just pay attention to this. Now, beyond that, we've also got, what else we got? Got that. I want to show this. Let's get into some TA on crypto specifically, and that is this Bitcoin reserve risk. I love this chart. This chart, and if you don't know what it means, and this is on the Bitcoin Magazine Pro, bitcoinmagazinepro.com. Shout out to them. We had them on the channel last week, if you didn't tune in there, talking a lot about on-chain metrics, how you can utilize it as a secret tool to see the data in near real time of what size wallets, basically, what are rich people doing? What are broke people doing? What are big wallets doing? What are retail, very small shrimp and plankton wallets doing? I want to move when the major players are adding, when I'm a little concerned and I see the major players are just stacking in, that gives me confidence and I want to follow the whales. You use that as an ingredient with the rest of your technical tools. So reserve risk, what is it? Let's scroll down here and we see it's this section will just following the what is calculated for reserve risk. Bitcoin days destroyed, adjusted Bitcoin days destroyed, value of Bitcoin days, excuse me, and the HODL bank. Basically, how many coins are in wallets that have never moved. So you're starting to see the weight of old coins, or the volume of old coins being traded out, and also what's going on with price. All these things calculate. We see that we're still in it like this. You see this area? What happened right here when this reserve risk metric was so low? This proved to be an excellent area for entry for price action before the parabolic run. Okay, let's look at this. Reserve risk, super low. Okay, this was an excellent spot before price went on a short-term parabolic run, and then we came back down into the reserve risk being low. How risky is this investment? How risky is this with risk to the downside if I were to get in here versus my upside potential? And then what do we see here? Down accumulation zone in the reserve signal by the reserve risk metric. All of this was a great areas of entry before this parabolic run. Well, look at this. This entire bull market so far, this is important. This entire bull market so far has shown a dynamic change that is overwhelmingly impressive and signaling what is likely to come in the near future and persistently into the future for this Bitcoin market. This time is different. Why do we say that? Because this on-chain metric shows that from even this FTX collapse low, this bear market low with this persistent move from 15,000 all the way up to 74 and then the crash and then all the way up to $113,000, $112,000. This entire run, the risk has maintained itself as being still a great buy opportunity. Now, why is this? Likely, one of those reasons can be because we haven't seen a massive flood of new retail coming into the market this entire bull run. But we have seen is an exponential flood of big money players getting involved, ETFs, access points, governments, and super wealthy, and also the maturation, the maturity coming into the types of holders that are in this market no, it's time to hold. The world's waking up to Bitcoin. It's time to come up with a dip buying strategy, a long-term strategy, a strategy to prevent myself from screwing my future by trading out of this asset. This is showing a platform for what's to come in Bitcoin. On-chain data gives you these signals. That's why we break them down here on BitLab Academy to make sure that you guys have the clearest picture. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Follow us for more. We want to make sure that you do not mess us up. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. So now let's dive into a little bit more because we have some altcoin things to talk about. Shout out, Daddy-O, Brad Kellam. How you doing? Shout out to everybody out there. Now, what is going on here? We have some other bullish fundamental news going on. And this is something I have some contention in my heart about. I shared it in the BitLab and the Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement Discord. I have some thoughts on Ondo that's giving me a lot of hesitation. Now, I think Ondo is great. I'm not recommending anybody trade out of it. I don't recommend you buy or sell anything. In fact, I share data here. But I'm just having trepidation because we're starting to see a broader array of things. Now, and I'm going to show you what those are in a second, but we're seeing this fundamental bullishness we were talking about for the broader digital asset economy being integrated in the legacy financial structures of the world. Coinbase unveils Coinbase payments, enabling Shopify merchants to accept 24/7 USDC payments globally with instant settlement. So we're having access points on global merchants to be able to utilize stable coins as an access point to basically transact. This is incredible. In addition to that, we also see Elon Musk's X to offer investment and trading in super app push. Question here is going to be how much of this is going to include crypto? Well, I think there's a little bit of a crumb of information there when you just saw X partner with Polymarket. Polymarket being a statistical based betting website, right? You can bet on anything, whether it's politics or are we going to go to war, or you can make bets on anything, and it tracks those bets, and it's done through crypto mechanisms. So there's integrations there, and there's also massive movements and data that's been gathered into the coding of X and different things that have signaled that they are going to be doing that crypto X payments within the X app. So is investment and trading going to be part of, is this going to displace things like Robinhood and E-Trade and all these other things? I don't know, but this is massive, massive developments. So X is getting into investments and trading. We're seeing the tokenization of assets. We're seeing JP Morgan Chase. We're seeing Coinbase offering, trading things like stocks and tokenizing assets. We're seeing that space become very crowded. Kraken is also doing that. Injective Dex already has some of the top tech stocks like Amazon and Google and NVIDIA being traded on, tokenized to trade on their decks. So there's starting to become a crowded space, but remember, that is a massive space to really be that crowded. I think the ones that get dubbed the favorites by some of the major partners out there, like BlackRock and BlackRock, Wellington, Wisdom Tree. There's so many out there, guys. MasterCard. There's some major partnerships, and this makes me wonder, where are we on this alt season? Is this going to happen? Are we going to get this next alt season run? Based on this chart, we see this massive bullish expansion phase followed by a bear market, which ends up, when you realize these things are, steadily pushing on integrations across the world, this is an up and to the right chart. So these bear markets are really, if you consider this on the midterm macro setup, these are just great accumulation zones when price is pulling back, if you believe in the assets you're holding are going to continue further integrations and further advancements and how the utility and the adoption rate for these next waves of the upside. So the question is, are we going to get this? Because we got this breakout retest. Are we getting that next wave to the upside? I do think it's inevitable. And I said that. I asked the question. But I've been stacking Link and Arrow. Arrow has been absolutely ripping. BitTensor Tau, Ondo. I've made an update to that in the Discord for those of you tuned in there. And of course, Dog getting listed on Kraken. And they've been posting about this relentlessly on their page, and also talking about Rune June. Remember, Dog is a rune on Bitcoin. A rune just means an inscription of Bitcoin. Okay, so Dog is on Bitcoin as a rune. So they're basically integrating runes on Kraken effects. And of course, Checks, which just got listed on Kraken yesterday. So RWA, another real world asset tokenization for financial products and other things. And they've been making some stuff. Some of you may remember about a year and a half ago, I had the Checks founder on here as an interview. So shout out to any of you that were here for that. Crypto, the future. That's right, Jonathan Maldonado. But then we got other major things. Ethereum is not cooling down. BlackRock, Grayscale, Fidelity, and Bitwise, all major crypto ETFs, bought over $500 million worth of ETH in the last 3 days. And this isn't just BlackRock executives, Grayscale executives, Fidelity executives, Bitwise executives. No, these are market participants in the marketplace, trading, retail and big money players, buying shares of the Ethereum ETF from these folks and getting this massive inflows here of basically inflows to the ETFs. This feels like a setup for a major move. ETH is not dead, guys. What we're seeing, especially with the advancement of the Genius Act 2 days ago, now it's got to get voted in. Trump is pushing. Let's get this signed. Let's get things integrated. Let's get running on crypto integrations, deployment, empowerment. And we're seeing ETH spike in how much this, these big money players are stacking into Ethereum. And Ethereum is the largest platform for stablecoins. Connect the dots. There is a boom coming to the ETH ecosystem as well as the base ecosystem, everybody. So let's talk about that here in just one moment. And that is Chainlink, guys. Genius is also affected by this. So I want you guys actually to just pay attention to this, because when you see what is happening, actually, I'm going to share this. This is about 2 minutes. I'll put it on faster speed. Let me see here. Where's the thing? There we go. Let's go to 1.5, 1.25, and just listen to this, because this is very important. This is why Chainlink at under $13 is an overwhelming steal. Let's see what they've got to say, because this is so important.
This isn't just about crypto anymore. What we're witnessing is the entire financial system moving on chain. US treasuries, European government bonds, commodities, real estate funds, even currencies, tokenized, transparent, programmable, and the infrastructure making it happen? Chainlink. In 2024, JP Morgan settled tokenized US treasuries on a public blockchain using Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP. BlackRock launched a $3 billion tokenized fund called SBUIDL. It's now integrated with DeFi and secured by Chainlink price feeds. USD1, a stablecoin from World Liberty Financial, is fully backed by US treasuries. It uses Chainlink's proof of reserve for transparency and CCIP for cross-chain functionality. And this isn't just the United States. ANZ Bank in Australia, New Zealand dollar stablecoins, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, European banks, even Vodafone is automating global trade using Chainlink. This isn't speculation. This is live infrastructure, already settling real assets. The Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, DTCC, processes $2.5 quadrillion in trades each year. Swift moves $7 trillion per day, and both are actively testing or integrating with Chainlink. Why? Because Chainlink connects private bank blockchains with public networks, securely, reliably, and with cryptographic proof. Proof of reserve, to verify assets in real time. CCIP, to move value and messages across any chain. Link, to access and secure the network. The entire world is converging. Banks, asset managers, stablecoin issuers, DeFi protocols, and the one constant powering all of it is Chainlink. This isn't a future vision. It's already here, wiring up the next generation of global finance. And the Link token, it's not just a crypto asset, it's the fuel, the access key, the settlement layer. The financial system is going on chain, and it's running on Chainlink.
The next stage of global finance is getting implemented as we speak. And we're seeing that be large in part, be connected, as you see, through all these major global, this is not just US, global, from Australia to Hong Kong to BlackRock to the European Central Bank to Swift to DTCC. Everything is all going to be integrated and utilizing Chainlink in a major way. And if not everything, the large majority of the largest financial players and plumbing of the world is going to need to be integrated with Chainlink. That's why I'm so bullish on Chainlink. All of these things, look at all these things. AWS, DTCC, European Central Bank, Franklin Templeton, BNY Mellon, ANZ, HSBC, World Liberty Financial, BlackRock. The world is being connected by Chainlink. I don't know how anybody could be bearish here. Under $13, hell, under $100, I think is an overwhelming steal for where this market's going with all these integrations. So just take note when you get a little worried about a little negative price action. What's negative there is your lack of patience. What's negative there is you not seeing the opportunity therein with all this overwhelming bullishness while price is not yet being affected and displaying what is coming. This means that you're catching the trend before it is actually reflected in the price action. That's how you make 10x, 100x, 1000x wealth on meaningful assets in this space, not pump and dumps like memes, okay? So here we go. We also got Ford Explorers, not Ford Explorer, Ford explores decentralized legal data storage on Cardano blockchain. So Cardano's even getting some nods here on some of these things. We're seeing some major developments on Cardano with Midnight. And some of the things that they're doing a Bitcoin, or they proposed a Bitcoin treasury as well. And some of the 100 million that they would sell of Cardano to do that, to buy the Bitcoin, they would then utilize the fees on network to then buy back Cardano. So although some people might be like, that's going to cause sell pressure, it's going to cause some sustained buy pressure as well, especially with stability with their treasury being in Bitcoin. So when we're looking at Bitcoin's price and we're frustrated it's not ripping, remember, there's overwhelming bullishness on every fundamental level of the crypto ecosystem right now that is screaming higher, faster, stronger, longer. So any opportunity that we would be lucky to get if price drops, we should appreciate. And that also stands for not every altcoin, but some key altcoins with narratives that are also being integrated across the board, like Ethereum, with all of the discussion and the movement on the Genius Act. If we get the opportunity with ETH dropping below this 2380, as we've discussed here on BitLab, and it comes down to the golden pocket right here, this 0.618, the golden ratio, the area that price action very regularly comes back to. If this comes down here, this is fine. This also is a known level that we've been discussing for some time. And this is actually holding up beautifully right here on this, multi-year trend line that goes back to 2022. I know I've just shared this with you before, but there's people are getting frustrated here without seeing the opportunity that is being patient. Those that are going to win the most in this market are ones that are not going to be frustrated by this, that are not going to be frustrated by this, that are not going to be frustrated by Chainlink being in a multi-year symmetrical pattern all the way back to 2020. Compressing into a absolute liftoff zone. I see opportunity here. So let's not be frustrated with the opportunity just because we're being impatient. We want it to go now. As we look at it right now on the 2-hour chart, we are seeing it's holding in this zone that we have had marked out here for quite some time. And what is this zone? It's all these lows back here in 2023, all these lows, then now highs getting rejected, lows. And we're coming right back into this zone where there's been a lot of price memory, where now we're seeing, if you look at the candle bodies, let's go to the daily. You see these candle bodies kind of being flat here. And you see the RSI kind of starting to peak up. If the RSI breaks down here, this is invalidated, but it's setting up a potential bullish divergence now. Again, this is also in a descending broadening wedge, which could play out a little longer, but these tend to break bullishly to the upside. Now, although this may finish this pattern with a break to the upside, even within this pattern, there's still room, as we have drawn here, for this to explore a little bit lower. And in fact, it's okay. Look at that. We have a multi-year support trend line that comes all the way back here to 2020. Support, 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 support. So if it comes back down there, it would just yet again. And of course, as I pointed out yesterday, if this does drop below that, this would be like, holy malarkey. Are you telling me you saying there's a chance? Come on, everybody. I'm frustrated with myself. I've been too bullish on alt. Shout out, Nicholas Perry. I hear you. This cycle has been very different with how to project the institutional focus on Bitcoin, but also the development of Bitcoin proxies like MicroStrategy, like now Nakamoto, like 21 Capital, like what we're seeing with not only the ETFs as well, but Metaplanet. We're seeing a lot of sort of fractured liquidity, even within the Bitcoin ecosystem, getting access to Bitcoin in different ways, almost like the Bitcoin proxies, these stocks that are now doing Bitcoin treasuries, taking some of that liquidity focus. It feels a little bit safer in some ways, and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I think altcoins have bared the brunt of some of this lack of liquidity coming in, but it's also, because of the hype around where Bitcoin's going, I think there's been less willingness for the capital to rotate into the alt sector. I do think it's still coming. I think we need to keep our focus on Bitcoin. I think we need to identify key areas of the altcoin market that have real sizable, I'm talking about like where institutions might be focused also, of deployment into the traditional finance world or complete displacement of it when you're looking at things like Ethereum, Ondo, Aerodrome, which has been absolutely ripping, which we talked about yesterday, and we could talk about it again today. I mean, look at this. Aerodrome absolutely ripping. Higher low, breakout here, pull back into a higher low, retesting this previous range right in the zone, bounced here on this falling channel, rocketed out, and now look at, interestingly, where it's at. It's coming right back up to this trend line that we've had on here for some weeks now. I didn't just draw this because of this. If you extend this out, we're kind of coming up to test this range right now. I mean, in fact, we kind of just rejected at it. Doesn't mean it's over for this rip. It just means this is coming to a target we already had outlined. And why would that be? Well, Coinbase, with their Coinbase Summit the other day, talked about integrating the Base ecosystem and Base DEXs and things like Aerodrome into the main Coinbase app, AKA for crypto native, super experienced people like all of you, or at least the large majority of you. People don't know what the hell a DEX even is or how to go in and swap and all this. They're now bringing that access and simple functionality into the Coinbase app and the Coinbase platform for all of its Coinbase users. So basically everything on Base is now going to have access to a much wider array of people, while also driving a hell of a lot, an exponential amount of more volume likely to come to the swaps and the DeFi and all the things within the Base ecosystem. And a lot of that's going to be done through Aerodrome. So that's why Aero's pumping. And that's why I think even at the market cap it's at right now, Aerodrome is underpriced for where it's going. I think Aerodrome is going to be in the 10 billion kind of minimum this cycle for its market cap, but I think it could pump as high as somewhere in the 15 to 25 billion market cap, which would mean a massive, massive multiple. This would be anywhere from 10 to 17x from where it's at right now. Now, if you're going to be excited about that, then be excited about it. I'm not making your decisions. My point here is if you're to jump in here where we're having a massive pump, and you heard that projection of where this could go, then you need to have a long-term vision on this. If you get excited about where this can go and you buy in here on something that looks like it's about to have a small time correction to the downside, then do not buy here and sell here if you're looking at where this can go this entire cycle. If you buy here and it drops, then first off, you bought a local top on this small time frame, then the alternate here is to buy here. And if it drops, then the strategy says, then you add more if your conviction is that. But we all need to start making our smart decisions based on what our abilities are, on what our strategy is, on what emotions we think will or will not get triggered based on certain things in the market. Far too many people hear a projection, they hear something exciting about a coin, about an asset, about something in the crypto ecosystem, and then in a 3-day, 4-day, or even like 3-week period, the price moves contrary to what you were expecting, and then you sell, and then that market rips. Now, I think we all need to just settle in, find a little bit of patience, be thankful for the opportunity we have here, be making sure that over time you get more and more focused on Bitcoin. Take some shots on these altcoins. They are exciting, but Bitcoin is the apex asset of the world of all time. That's just a fact. That's where we're at. Altcoins are super exciting. In fact, I'm stacked into many altcoins, but I have them as a percentage of what my broader ecosystem of assets is that I'm holding in the crypto ecosystem. And that is Bitcoin being the shark and altcoins making up a little school of minnows swimming with that shark. So we can take shots, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't destroy your entire portfolio, your psyche, your emotions, make you feel lost, make you want to get out of this market, make sure you're navigating healthily, because we have overwhelming bullishness coming. Despite all the noise in the market, look to the data, because it's going to be your bastion of fortune, baby. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. Everybody, right now, before we go, I want to see something you're thankful for that has nothing to do with crypto. Something you're thankful for, something you're grateful for. Let's get it in the chat. Let's leave this with a bit of positivity today. Let's leave a positive impact on each other. Let's realize that maybe even if you're not feeling positive, hey, you're alive. You got legs, hopefully. If you don't, you got a chair. If you don't, then you got somebody to carry you. But we have so much to be thankful for that we forget about. We get so locked in on money, have, don't have, wealth, have, don't have. We all have wealth in some capacity, whether it's in health, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in gratitude. You can have wealth in gratitude. Let's practice gratitude so everything else in life becomes simpler. That's just how life works. The more grateful you are for what you have, the more you're able to navigate to attracting and having more. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Sending you over to Blockchain Basement now. That's all we got. Adios, muchachos.